Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody this morning? As blue jeans. Amen. Amen. Let's lighten the heart just a little bit. I have a couple of funnies for you. It says a proud and confident genius makes a bet with an idiot. The genius says, hey idiot, every question I ask you that you don't know the answer to, you have to give me $5. And if you ask me a question and I can't answer it, I'll give you $5,000. The idiot said, okay. The genius then asked, how many continents are there in the world? The idiot doesn't know and hands over $5. The idiot says, it's my turn. He says, what animal stands with 2 legs but sleeps with 3? And the genius tries and searches and says, that's hard, I don't know. So he had to hand over $5,000 to the idiot. The genius says, wow, I lost. By the way, what was the answer to your question? The idiot hands over $5. So the idiot walks away with $4,990. Attempts to stop a car for speeding, and the guy gradually increases his speed until he's topping 100 miles per hour. The man eventually realizes he can't escape and finally pulls over. The cop approaches the car and says, it's been a long day and my shift is almost over. So if you can give me a good excuse for your behavior, I'll let you go. The guy thinks for a few seconds and then says, my wife ran away with a cop about a week ago, and I thought you might be him trying to bring her back. Our theme for this month, the Word made flesh. In our textbook, because we have guest speakers, is open, but I will reference the intro, and then of course Scripture is open. Reverend Amon started this month out with, I am a soldier in the army of the Lord. And we all are soldiers. We've been through many things, many challenges, and we're still standing, glorifying the Spirit of God that's within us. And then Reverend Paul stood here last week and told us how powerful our word is and to stand on it. Don't give up, don't give in. And I want to thank Mother Bliss for returning, and our Versi back there. They were gone with ill challenges, but they spoke the word. They spoke the word. Reverend Paul was 100% accurate when he said last week that 87 years ago, a group of people spoke words that became flesh. In 1932, the East Side Church of Religious Science opened its doors. Dr. Arthur J. Twine led a devoted small group of worshipers in his home, in his living room, in revealing the truth by right of his or her consciousness. For as a human thinketh in his heart, so it is. Because you know, we can't fool the heart. We can be manipulated in our consciousness to think one thing. We can say anything out of our mouths. But that's why it says that the Lord knows us by our heart, because you can't fool the heart. The heart is going to feel what it feels. And therefore, the law and the word reads you by your heart, not just what you say, not just what you think you know, but what you really feel. So when we speak a word, our belief, our trust, and our faith has to propel it to bring to us that we've spoken. Just saying a word with nothing behind it won't get you. You can have a shell of a car, but if there's no engine, you're not going nowhere. So it has to be something that follows our word. And it has to be a belief. And since we're made in the image and likeness and created out of all the power that there is, we have that same power to bring to us that we need or desire. What is the word? It's an agency in which God reveals itself in some measure. The word is God's creative power giving order to form. The of outer things. The chairs that we're sitting on, the podiums, the microphones, first had to be a thought and a word from someone, and then they begin to draw or to build. And that's what it is in our life. We have to think of health and wholeness 24/7. And when anything tries to creep in other than that, you have to dismiss it and replace it with that you desire. So Arthur Twine continued to teach, studying the movement of Ernest Holmes, that we recognize the presence of the divine power first, and then unify with this power, and then realize that this marriage with this power, unifying with it, can and will accomplish any and everything needed, desired, or spoken. Our word made flesh. Of course, they outgrew Twine's living room and moved to People's Mortuary on Central Avenue. Wow. 13 years later, 1945, we became Third Church of Religious Science. And as a movement, it moved Ernest Holmes enough that Dr. Holmes ordained and gave Third Church its charter, therefore officially becoming LA Third Church of Religious Science. Dr. Twine made his transition that next year, 1946, but after seeing his word becoming flesh. And then Dr. Charles Palmer accepted the position of senior pastor. Succeeding Dr. Palmer in 1962 were several ministers and practitioners stepping up to keep the movement alive. To name a few, Reverend Paul Wright, Reverend Timothy Armstrong, and Lee Domaz. Now, Dr. Twine, Charles Palmer, Armstrong, and Dr. Ronnie Jones, their pictures are out there. The Word made flesh, and here we all sit today because of those words that were spoken. So after the practitioners and ministers stepped in to take over and keep this movement alive, in March of 1986, our Dr. Ronnie Jones accepted the position of senior pastor. He was only coming to visit, so he thought. A friend of his, J.L. Armstrong, told Dr. Ronnie about LA Third Church. And so Dr. Ronnie came to visit, and we had Virgil Shepard and Milton Rice. A few of our people that was there came after service and asked Dr. Ronnie, "Can you be our pastor?" And shortly after, Dr. Ron became the pastor. Dr. Ronnie Jones, a full-time business owner, he worked diligently to bring clarity, growth, and understanding to this map of freedom for all who are open. Dr. Ronnie moved us from 48th and Main to a hotel that we stayed in for 3 years by USC. And then after that, he moved us to a rental property right around the corner, I think where the African church is. We were there for 11 years. And then we came over here as owners to this space and this place. Ron Bishop, Betty Yance, Bertie Glover, Linda Alvarez, Louise Taylor, Robbie Irvin Fisher, those are the people back in those days, 20 years ago, still here today. And then we had a few people that belonged to another church, but still supported this church with their words and sometimes some coins. So to the McCrays and to the Hunters, who they were someplace else, but they kept this idea alive. So 2011, well, let's go back to 1963. I was in St. Louis with my mom. She had me at 14. And she suspected that my cousin, who was 12 years older than me, was not treating me properly, if you know what I mean. And so my mother called my grandmother and said, "Can you come and get Lisa?" I was 3. A lady, Fanny Hamilton, who belonged to a club that my grandmother belonged to, rode with her to St. Louis to get me. And on that ride, Fanny told Anna Haggerty about this church and this teaching. So on that drive. When they picked me up, and incidentally my mom came too, she couldn't stand to see her baby just go. So we came back to California, and that very first Sunday, 1963, little 3-year-old Lisa walked in LA Third Church, and this is where I've been for 56 years. So Dr. Ronnie, for 25 years, dedicated his time in teaching. And during that course, 6 years out of his time, he prepared a few ministerial students to keep the truth movement alive. 2 of those students stepped up and stepped out, and that was Reverend Paul Meggs and Reverend Lisa Meggs. Dr. Ronnie also found a diamond in the rough by the name of a Reverend Gerald Smith to assist in the growth of LA Third. And so here we are today, words made flesh. Thank you, church family, for your commitment, for your dedication, and for your words in this space, and your words to others. When you bring first-time visitors, it's usually because you've demonstrated something that they're curious. So thank you for talking about this space and this place, even on the outer. I have a job today because someone spoke a word. For 21 years, God allowed me to heal and to raise my children that doctors told me I would never have. But God said, I have a word, and that word is going to be made flesh. And so we were blessed with 2 children. Speaking of the word made flesh, I watched a documentary the other day of a couple who had 2 sons, and they wanted another child. And this couple had many challenges conceiving. The doctors had no hope. The couple prayed and affirmed. They spoke their word unto the power of the Lord that they can conceive. It took a while, but the wife became pregnant. But the baby was in her right fallopian tube. The doctor said to abort this pregnancy because it will kill you as well as kill the baby. The couple continued to pray, affirm, and speak their word. And at 6 months, the fallopian tube burst, and the wife had to be rushed to emergency. They kept her for over a month, but all that time, even before she became pregnant, the father said, we're going to have another son, and his name is going to be Judea. And so when the doctors was telling them, no, you wouldn't, it's impossible, they kept believing. They stood on their word. They didn't give up, they didn't give in. They didn't put their lives in the hands of a man or a woman. They put it in the power of God. So Judea was born. He wore 3 pounds. They kept him for a couple of months. And the mother and the father continued to speak their word and pray. They said, we're going to have a healthy baby that's going to make a difference in this world. Today, Judea is 6 years young, the smartest first grader in his class, with no health challenges at all. That's what the power of the word can do. Yes. We are not to give up or to give in to anything outside of us. Our power is on the inside. There is mind power that we can use that created everything. So we got to condition our mind to accept greater good, greater health. And it doesn't have to look like what you think it is. Let God do it. And when you let God do it, God brings peace. Peace of mind. That's why I said before, you have people who have no legs, no arms, but they can paint pictures with a paintbrush in their mouth. So it doesn't have to look like we think it should look. We got to trust in the power to do the right thing. And God will rest the mind so that you can accept right where you are at any given time. Yes. There is a principle of mind that reacts to our thinking or to our belief. It naturally flows. So when we say I can't and I won't, or this will never, it has to obey you. So what words are we speaking about your life, about your family, about your neighbors, about your church, about the roads that you travel? Are you blessing those that speed up and cut you off? It's easy to do the other. I had to learn it. But how am I helping if I'm perpetuating the already wrong? I have to speak and say, I bless them and pray that they make it safely to where they're going. So you leave with a blessing. People should leave your presence feeling better than when they enter it. If they don't, you haven't done your divine duty. The one divine mind directs my mind in this moment. This is the power that creates my life. Our thinking, our speaking, our believing, our trusting, our faithing is what directs our life. Just like a steering wheel directs a car or a bike, our mind directs our life. And we put more stock in what other people say and what they've done than we do to master this thing called God in me and in you. In this moment, I allow myself to know that I am living in peace, harmony, and love. I focus on this place of perfection. There is nothing in my experience that disturbs my peace. If anything appears to bring disharmony to my life, I face it with confidence, knowing only good comes from every experience. Everything that comes into your life, some kind of way we've drawn it in, and it's only come to help us stronger. It says what don't kill you makes you stronger. And we're stronger today because of our challenges. Today is the day. What's your word? And do you want it to become flesh? If so, nurture it, trust in it, believe in it, and above all, have faith in God to deliver it. God created us for its glory. According to Isaiah 43:67, and Isaiah represents the higher self which discerns truth, the real character of the spiritual man and woman. Isaiah, it says, bring my sons and daughters from the end of the earth. Meaning you don't care where you came from. Meaning you don't care where you are right now. Come on, my children. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory. And what is glory but the biggest and the grandest thing? God wants to give us the kingdom to live a life that's worth testifying about, bragging about. We brag about our cars and our houses and our clothes. How often do we brag about the powerful deity that's within each of us and that calls each of us by name to come forth? You are here on this earth today because God has need of you. Yes. So whatever the challenge, whatever your background, whatever the status, mistakes, missteps, wherever we are in our growth or lack thereof, God's still calling you. When will you answer? We answer the cell phone, the house phone. Answer God's call because it's continuous. God doesn't close his doors. 24/7, the Spirit of God is moving us. So what is it moving you to? To a greater success, to prosperity and abundance in every area of your life? Is it calling cells, muscles, and organs to renew and transform themselves? Only if you call it forth. A closed mouth can't get fed. You can lead a horse to water, and if you push his neck down, you can still tighten his lip and not drink it. Right. Open your mouth and speak your words. Yes. Right. It is said, behold, look upon me. I will do a new thing. God has the power. God is willing and able to do a new thing in you, as you, through you. What is your word? What's new about you today? What are you thinking? What will become flesh in your next experience? Only what you're thinking about and feeling about, that's coming forth. Don't hold nothing against nobody, because when you do, you're holding it against yourself. Holding anything against any of God's other children is a blessing blocker for your life. Ernest Holmes says in the intro, that honors our faith, trust, belief, and word in it. There is a law in the universe which is exact in its outpicturing. That, in other words, you can't plant carrots and get peas. So whatever you're speaking, you say you need more finances, but are you blocking yourself because you don't know where it's coming from? That's not your business. Your business is to plant the seed and let the Creator bring to you that which you need. In this power and law, we often find ourselves torn by confusion, conflict, denials, by emotions, fear, pride, self-doubt, regret, and envy. Those are blessing blockers. Ernest Holmes says it appears that we are afraid of, suspicious of, uncertain of the very universe in which we live, move, and have our being. Sickness, discord, restlessness, the empowerment of lack, failure, anxiety, anger, or sadness is our misuse of the universal principles and laws and our purpose for being. We're here for God's glory. Being created for God's glory means we have spiritual tools. So my word for my world, my life, has to be consistent with the good that I desire. My word has to be that whatever experiences that come to me, come to bless me, empower me, and awaken me. My word is I am not a victim of circumstance, but a victor of life's lessons. My word is I will use my God-given power to co-create the life I desire. My word made flesh. By right of God mind, choice, and dominion, we get to choose. A positive attitude of anything allows that thing to touch the hem. You know, as the lady with the blood issue for 12 years, she said, if I could just press through the crowd to touch the hem of his garment. But what does that mean for us? If I could just press through my fears and my doubts and my worries, press through that crowd and touch the hem. And what is touching the hem but touching truth? That I am one with my Father. With all of our relationships, any relationship that's out of order, you gotta bless it. God is about unity. You don't have to break bread with them or have tea with them or go shopping with them, but you definitely can't have a negative attitude about them. Again, a blessing blocker for your life. We're all God's children, and we must treat people the way we want to be treated. We all have missteps and made mistakes. That's the cost of being a spiritual being, having human experiences. And so it is with others. And then you never know the book of somebody's life. You never know how they came up and what they feel. So we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, because we've made mistakes, but our Father still loves us to keep going. So keep a positive attitude, a grateful, non-biased approach to our living. Let's acknowledge the nature of being. God is good. God is great. And when we say that, we got to really believe it. Because when challenges come, and they will come, how good is your God then? You got to tell your little issues about your big God. Ernest Holmes says nature awaits our comprehension of her. And since nature is governed by immutable laws, immutable is nothing but unchanging. Ignorance of these laws excuses no one from their effects. We are not punished for our error, we are punished by them. Just like I said before, water can either quench your thirst or it can drown you. Fire can either heat your house or it can burn you up. It depends on how we use it. There is one power and we get to use it however we see fit. And I would think that since we're here to represent our Creator, that we will use that power rightly. Yes, there's many who don't, but where's the example? Amen? Amen. Our bondage, sickness, frustration is our ignorance of what God set in motion for us, not against. See, God gave us everything, but how are we using it? And when we say, I don't have this and I don't have that, you have just invoked your seed into the universal law, so you can't have. You're waiting for it to show up physically, but everything first starts spiritually. You got to speak your word. You don't have fruit or a tree. You have a seed that is placed in the ground, and it has to be nurtured. You have a seed that's sitting on your consciousness, and it needs to be nurtured for wholeness, for finances, for relationship, for success. You got to speak it so much until you absolutely believe it. And when you believe it, you will attract it. It will show up. The misunderstandings of Scripture and the misunderstanding of our textbook beckons us to do everything with an open mind. And when you do things with an open mind, you leave room for God's wisdom to flow in. The key, our key to freedom, to a worthwhile life, is held in the mind of intelligence, working in accordance with universal laws, which operates on a spiritual system. Through our experiences, we should learn about doing things good, righteous, and that's acceptable to the Lord. When we trust the universe, which is God's house, and then God trusted this world on us. God gave us this world and said, nurture it and take care of it. Let us leave here empowered. Let us leave here knowing that every word that comes in our consciousness doesn't have to be audible when you think it. You're either blessing or committing a crime, a conscious crime. When you speak ill of anybody, you're speaking ill of another God's children. So that comes back to you in some kind of way. A lot of times we don't know why things happen and why they come. We didn't ask for it audibly, but if we go back, I bet you we've said something that we shouldn't have said. We thought something and we felt something against someone that we shouldn't have. And that's going to bring something like. It's so important that we speak words that uncovers our already given gifts of peace, strength, courage, power, kindness, joy, patience, and most of all, love. Since the Christ presence is who I am, I now cease all outer activity to locate my freedom. My word is, I am free. Command my body, my circumstance, my concerns. Spirit comes forth saying, I am that Holy Spirit of inspiration within, ready to meet every need. So I turn to my source that I can be sourced. I can speak my word to trust God's promises, that it meets my need in every moment. What a relief it is to know that God cares for me. God has my best interest at heart. My so-called battles are not mine. They are my Father's. Today, I know the depths of God's power, the accuracy of spiritual laws, and the fullness of God's love. So I speak my word, knowing, believing, trusting, understanding, being more aware, and faithing that my greatest life experience, expression, and demonstration is unfolding right now. All I have is this moment right here, and I know that God is doing something in me, as me, for me, right now. So I speak to my cells and my capillaries, wake up, take your wholeness position. I speak to my organs, muscles, and joints, move in the freedom from which you were created. Talk to my blood and my skin and all other parts. Flow, express, and demonstrate the perfection in which you were created. I talk to my finances. Don't you know that I am joint heir to the kingdom of my heavenly Father? So add some zero to yours. I will share, build, and make a difference in the world. I speak to my relationships. I let those that came and need to go. I file the past away. I forgive mistakes and missteps. I hold nothing against no one, including myself. I set myself free. That, them, he, she, whoever they